Indeed. Now, understanding how to set up and run an effective youth charity can be difficult for those who want to make a difference in the capital. Project Oracle was set up in the aftermath of the London riots in 2011 to get to grips with how groups can provide the best support for young people, and it, as of now, has now become a permanent charity at the London Metropolitan University. Sue Holloway is the Chief Executive of the charity. Pleased to say she joins me now. Thank you very much indeed for coming in at this lunchtime. You've come a long way over 5 years, but just let's go back to 2011 and perhaps the period after that. Why was there the need to set up your charity?
When we're thinking about what really works in terms of working with children and young people who have needs and assets that we can use, we need to have good evidence that shows that what different organisations are doing makes a proper difference. And so we were set up to help provide that evidence space, to strengthen that evidence space, to work with charities to think about how they demonstrate that what they do makes a difference.
And how did you come together actually amassing all those different approaches? I imagine it must be confusing in a sense, because lots of different providers, youth service providers, will be approaching things in different ways, and therefore there's not a set route as such to take. So how would you organise yourselves in that sense?
Well, there is a fairly standard way of thinking about evidence, and a theory of change is a way of saying what are the steps that make us believe that these activities will actually lead to changes in the young people. And so we help organisations work through what their theory of change is, what they think is happening, what the changes are that they expect to see, and have they got data to back that up.
And so how has the organisation evolved from what is initially just a project to a fully fledged charity? You know, you received your charitable status earlier this year, which is great. But talk us through that journey.
So we were set up as a partnership between London Metropolitan University and the Social Innovation Partnership, funded by the Greater London Authority, the Mayor's Office of Policing and Crime, and the Economic and Social Research Council. And over the three to 4 years we've been going, we've established that there's demand for what we do, that organisations we work with find it helpful to have somebody independent coming alongside, giving them training, looking at the evidence they're producing, helping them to plan how they're going to show and prove they make a difference. We've set up as an independent charity because we want to carry on. The demand is there. We want to continue to serve the demand, not just in London, but now to think about going more widely. And I guess the reason for being a charity is because we're really there to support the sector, and in particular the voluntary sector organisations who are working with children and young people.
Support, of course, but do you see yourself perhaps in the future as a regulator of sorts, sort of keeping people in check or in line and making sure there's best practice across the board?
I don't think we would set ourselves up as regulators of charities. What we do want to do is provide information for funders and commissioners, people who are paying for the services, to know that they're getting good value for money, that the intervention is doing what it says on the tin.
We live in times of austerity, and many key services to young and old people alike are being cut. How can you make sure that services like yours, and indeed the people that you work with, are safeguarded and indeed remain sustainable going forwards?
Well, I think the key thing that we're trying to do is make sure those organisations who are delivering on the front line have the evidence to show why they should get the funding, and that the interventions that are the most effective are the ones that do get funding.
And so just talk us through what's actually taking place later on today then.
So this evening, London Met are hosting an event to celebrate what we've achieved over the last years, but also to look forward to the future and the next chapter in our story.
And talking of the future, final question, what do you hope to achieve in a broader sense, not just perhaps in the next 6 months, next year, perhaps 5 years even?
I think we want to continue working with organisations providing services in the children and youth sector in London, but we also want to expand to other parts of the country, develop the same sorts of partnerships that we've been able to establish in London, in other centres, so that more and more organisations get support.
Brilliant. Sue Holloway, thank you very much indeed for joining us.
You're very welcome.